Hi, it's a little bit later in the evening and I just felt like making a video about my hiatus hernia. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to do now, you know, 9 o'clock at night. But no, I was thinking today a lot about things that I should be avoiding, and it sort of stemmed from a workout I was doing earlier, and I've been trying to sort of play around with what other stuff I can do so eventually I don't have to take omeprazole, if that's even possible, and maybe without surgery, you know, or at least reduce my omeprazole because I don't want to be on PPIs forever. So I was kind of thinking, like, what stuff do I need to be avoiding? If you've got a hiatus hernia, what stuff do you need to be avoiding as well? So I think exercise wise and sort of lifestyle wise, there is a few things that really do trigger it, and it's kind of hard because I'm talking about exercise now. Now, before sort of I got my hiatus hernia, I used to do a lot of ab work, and I had a few comments on a previous video about my hiatus hernia saying that that's really bad, and that someone said that could have even caused your hiatus hernia. But I don't think I've ever had like a warning at a gym class or a warning on a YouTube video before I do an abs workout that I'm gonna get a hiatus hernia if I do loads of abs work. So I feel like that maybe should be a warning if that's a thing. Did that come from that? I don't know. Where did it come from? So yeah, I don't really know the answer to that. But I just thought I'd do this video talking about just some stuff to avoid. The first thing I would say is avoid ab workouts. And it's really hard because isn't everything abs? Like, in some way, I was doing yoga and I was like, yoga isn't abs. And then midway through my yoga routine, the guy was like, oh, you're really working your core. And I was like, I've literally just been planking, really, haven't I? That's the whole thing. I've just been planking. So yeah, it's really tricky. And then, so I do a lot of swimming. I would say that's my sort of alternative. Luckily, since COVID sort of opened up, I've been able to go swimming again. But I guess that's sort of like a luxury as well. So home workouts, I try and do cardio, and I mean, you're always going to be working your core, even if you're doing things like squats, because that's just part of it, isn't it? But what I try to do is at the end, say for example, if it's like bicycle crunches, we're going into crunches, we're going into ab work, I've been really trying to think of alternative ways that I can do that. I'm still like doing planks, which probably isn't good for me, because you should be avoiding altogether, you should be avoiding ab work completely. But I just feel like I'm already trying to get fitter and lose a bit of weight. I've not gained, you know, a crazy amount of weight, but I have gained some weight since my hiatus hernia, and I think it's just because of you know, sort of the limitations of exercise, I guess, and well, probably a few things. I mean, I've been through a pandemic, but I think the limitations of what you can do. So ab work is really, you know, it's bad, isn't it? So that's just something I would say avoid. What I try to do is just do an alternative to the strenuous ab stuff. And I do ab stuff now and again. It's also weights. So weights is another thing to avoid. I got told that by my GP and by the surgeon. There was some conflicting information because the original specialist I spoken to said that there is no lifestyle changes that I can make at all that'll make a difference. Like, I just have to take tablets or have surgery. Like, nothing's going to make it. And I was like, this is so confusing, because then I've heard online and I've heard from GPs who've said, you know, a lot of it's up to you and your lifestyle choices. So yeah, and this is really tricky. Another thing is the food and drinks that you're eating. So when I first became, I don't know what would it be, but when I first got diagnosed with my hiatus hernia, I just started taking a few things out of my diet. You can find all of this, what to remove on like the NHS website and stuff. But for me, the things that I've been it's quite hard because I try not to restrict myself from anything, because I don't want to, I think quality of life is really important as well. You know, you should be able to just eat what you want, but there is some things that are always going to give me a flare up. I drink decaf coffee now. I have been quite bad actually. For the first year and a half, I just drank decaf. I didn't drink any coffee at all. And I have started drinking a bit of coffee now and again recently, since restrictions have started opening, which really bad, and yeah, I'm gonna stop doing that. But I have noticed as well that sometimes I do get a little bit of a acid reflux when I do that, so that's just one thing to, I would say, avoid. Also, fizzy drinks, anything with like citrus sort of gives me a flare up. But the main thing for me is greasy stuff. Like, I don't know if it's like the way things are fried, or the way things are like really oily and cooked, but if anything's really greasy, sometimes it's spice as well. Spice does it for me, so grease and spice together is probably the worst. But then I noticed, like, before I started taking PPIs and I was getting treatment, and I didn't know that I had a hiatus hernia, I remember, like, I'd go out for a meal and then I used to sit in like the child's pose position from yoga for like a couple of hours, just to sort of, and I thought that was normal, and I was sick. I don't know if any of you've experienced that, but I do get a little bit sick sometimes as well with my hiatus hernia, so that's also something to avoid. So yeah, for me it's just been caffeine. It does say stuff like chocolate as well, but I just love chocolate. But even though I'm trying to cut it out because I'm trying to be a bit healthier, I'd say chocolate is another one to try and cut out. I want to do this thing where I want to do like 21 days without chocolate, which doesn't sound like a big deal for most people, but because chocolate's like a big part of my life, that would be quite a big deal for me. Yeah, I was like, that'd be a cool YouTube video, but we'll see. Other random stuff to avoid, what you might be like, what? But when you think about it, it does kind of make sense. So when you've eaten, try to eat before 7 o'clock. Everything. I try not to eat at all after 7, unless, again, it's a meal thing with my partner or a meal with friends or family, because obviously I don't want to go like, sorry, I can't go, because that's quality of life, really, isn't it? But generally, I don't eat past 7 at all. I do not eat breakfast as well, which isn't related to the hiatus hernia, but like recently I've started sort of like, while I'm losing weight, just do a little bit of a fast in the morning. But yeah, so what happens is, if you eat late and eat quite a lot, and this happens to me quite frequently, say for example I eat at like 10 o'clock at Domino's or a really bad takeout, you lie down on your bed and you think about it, your belly's kind of like, you know, it's probably easier for the acid to go back up that esophagus, and that's going to give you heartburn. From my understanding, that's sort of the logic of it. There's probably like a more scientific definition by it, but for me, I'll just avoid that completely. Eat earlier in the day. Yeah, it feels quite random. Also, don't lie down generally after eating for a while. I think always just try and like sit up, stand up. Don't lie down for an hour or two after eating, because I always get acid, I always get heartburn after that, and that's not a nice feeling. Another thing which you might think is quite random, but wearing tight things. I generally have to wear things a bit baggier now. I used to sort of hold my belly in quite a lot, probably because either a self-conscious thing or I don't know, I felt like I did used to lose a bit of like ab weight and belly weight by just holding my belly in. I think I heard it somewhere on an app. But I don't do that now, because I have noticed if I do, it's like an ab work, maybe you're clenching, but also close. If you're wearing something too tight in your belly, I seem to get a little flare up of acid. I don't get flare ups as much now because of my PPIs, but if I do any of these things, for example, lying down, too much ab work, if I do eating too much greasy food or too much caffeine, or any of the things I've mentioned, I do still get a flare up even though I'm taking the tablets. It's not as frequent, and because I'm aware of it, I'm like, it's not as scary, because I know I've done that. I know I've done that tonight, and I know I'm gonna get a bit of acid, but I'm gonna be fine in the morning, or just maybe take an extra omeprazole, or just drink some more water and stuff. Water really helps for me. Weirdly different water, like, as well. I know it's really bad, so I have like a Chili's bottle, and I tried to be environmentally friendly, and I'm really passionate about the environment, but if I do want to, you know, splurge now and again, Evian water, I don't know if it's just like a me thing, but Evian water just always like settled my stomach. I don't know if that's probably not related to anything, it might just be a personal preference, but I feel like different waters like really soothe me, and some feel a bit like, you can sort of like taste the chlorine and taste sort of the acid in there, whereas for me, Evian has just always like settled me, which has been quite nice. yeah, I'd love to hear a few more people on things that they avoid. There is a few videos online sort of workouts that you can do, but I would just love to know like how you keep fit, because I'm really trying to keep fit, but then I'm really trying to get back into sort of the gym as well, but I'm really concerned almost of what effect is this having on my hiatus hernia. And you know, like do you know what I mean? Like, am I putting pressure on this by like working out? I think so. For me, I can notice like when I've done too much ab work or put pressure on it, I can feel it. I feel like the sort of acidy feeling in my esophagus, and that gives me anxiety. So yeah, what exercise can you do? It's really annoying, isn't it? Really, like you want to keep healthy and you know, exercise, but you can't do everything now, and yeah, it's quite frustrating. But yeah, I hope this video has sort of helped you. I just felt like doing it randomly, so I just rambled about a lot of crap. But I hope it's helped you in some way. Just think about sort of what to avoid if you're having troubles with your hiatus hernia at the moment. If you're having issues with sort of your acid, because I think that's been the worst thing. But for me, it's not just the acid. It like I get an anxiety with it as well, because I'm like what happens if this ever goes back to how it was before? And this, I feel like we need like a pamphlet or something of just all the information, because there's a lot of conflict in information as well, and I just kind of feel like you're just left in the wilderness a little bit. Like, so for some weird reason it deleted the last 2 minutes of what I was saying. So yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up. But yeah, I hope this video has sort of brought you some comfort in any way if you're experiencing any symptoms at the moment, and if you've not already checked out your hiatus hernia and you're getting symptoms, please do. I think something that I mentioned before it got deleted was how many people, young people, seem to be replying to my messages. And you know, when I first found out about it, it was something that was meant for over 60-year-olds, and I'm in my mid-20s. And a lot of comments that I get seem to be young people, so it's quite confusing. Yeah, it's quite confusing. I'm not really sure where these hiatus hernias are coming from and why. But yeah. I hope this video has brought you some comfort. Please let me know in the comments what works for you, what helps, what doesn't work for you, what triggers you. Are you still on PPIs? What's your process with it? I've done a few videos on my channel about health anxiety and about my hiatus hernia sort of journey, my endoscopies. Please subscribe. More content coming soon. I'd love to hear what you want to hear soon.